Hello, Matjaž.
Hi, everybody.
We are happy to share that on May 14, you will be giving an open online lecture. Personal spirit as the heart and motor of one's happiness and well-being. And why happiness and why well-being?
Well, it's not only happiness is not only because all we want to be happy, but there are rather moments of happiness that we achieve by doing something for ourselves, i.e., to do something that we really like to do and to be free to do whatever we love. So obviously, this cannot be going on for the whole time. But there are moments that we need to remember in order to see what constitutes, how do we make it up to there? How do we travel to these moments of happiness? However, transitory, there is another term which is really connected to the personal spirit just as well, and this is well-being. Well-being can be observed on four levels, not just the psychological well-being, but also physical bodily well-being, well-being of one's mind, to have a quiet and well-working mind, and also the spiritual well-being, which is perhaps least understood.
Your book from the series Cogito Individuationis, Personal Spirit as the Heart and the Motor of the Individuation Process, has been recently published. How can the personal spirit be observed and how can it be felt?
Well, personal spirit is, of course, immaterial. Otherwise, it would not be spirit, it would be the body. And it is also not one's psyche, because one's psyche consists of emotions as well as of some dream images and images of active imagination of the psychic landscape. So personal spirit is really the energy. So the energy that is felt already by an infant, every infant has their own energy. And then this spirit with upbringing, education, socialization, i.e., with the individuation process in the first half of one's life, it becomes bridled by these processes. So, what seems to happen is that the personal spirit becomes harnessed into the expectations of others and the expectations and demands of the symbolic forms in which we all live and develop, like the primary family, our education, our working symbolic forms, the systems in which we work, etc. And it is only later that this personal spirit has more chance to be expressed.
When does the personal spirit begin to form? Is it something that we develop over time, or is it something we are born with?
Infant has already been born into this world with some specific behavior, energy behavior, and also actual behavior, the patterns of eating, of producing voices, of responding. And this basic pattern may be observed throughout one's life. So personal spirit is not really something that is being developed. That would more be the psyche of the soul, but rather freed and expressed and used for one's creativity and expression. So this is why the personal spirit becomes more and more important in the second half of one's life.
How would you describe the relationship between the personal spirit and the human soul?
Well, human soul is really a traditional term which applies to the medieval metaphysics, where Christianity, Islam, in particular, these two big religions, they were really concerned with the redemption of the human soul. And in contrast to the antiquity, in the medieval metaphysical model, there is only human soul. There are individual souls in each person, but it's only individual soul. And this soul you have to redeem. Well, in contrast to that, personal spirit is not meant to be redeemed, but rather to be expressed in what one actually does. And this brings us to the crux of the personal spirit. Personal spirit, being a specific hallmark of personality, is not the psyche. It is immaterial and it is expressed in what one does. It's a typical set of deeds and acts one does or one refrains from doing during one's individual life. So when we die, this spirit is remembered. We say this would be typical for this person, this would be in his spirit, this would be that spirit of another person. So personal spirit is really, it comes really out through one's physical bodily cogito, through one's physical bodily actions, deeds, and behavior.
Thank you, Matjaž.
You're welcome. See you at the lecture.